Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's government warns of having to borrow the funds to pay backpay. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 6th June 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. The Trinidad and Tobago government warns that it will have no alternative but to borrow the necessary funds to settle back pay to public servants in spite of operating on a deficit budget over the last 13 years. More from this TTT News clip.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert stressed that the country is currently running on a deficit budget. He said the 2% offer is an initial offer.
Again, I want to stress that point. We are running a deficit budget. We have been running a deficit budget in Trinidad and Tobago now for the last, since 2009, as far as I can recall. So if you take all those years together, 12, 13 years, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has been running a deficit budget since the crash, the global financial crisis of 2007, 2008.
He said negotiations are continuing. The chief personnel officer is reconvening meetings with the various unions this month, starting with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social and Welfare Association on June 10th.
So we've been borrowing, the country, the government of this country, from 2009 to now, has been borrowing money to make up the difference between expenditure and income. And therefore, any back pay that comes out of this settlement, we will have to borrow that because we are already running a budget deficit this year.
Financial experts weigh in on the annual energy conference concluded on Thursday. On the opening day, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said this country is in a volatile energy scenario with the potential for fuel prices to move quickly in either direction, and government may have to consider full liberalization of fuel prices. TV6's Nicole M. Ramani has that story.
One former finance minister says it's hard to believe anything the current administration says at this time. Karen Nunes Teixeira says if the government moves ahead with its plan, it will be tough on citizens.
I think I would rely on what Reuters had to say. There is a greater demand for LNG now that Europe is trying to move away from natural gas. The point is that the only thing that the Prime Minister could come up with. So you ask us to be short and then to the point. And what I would say in doing that they've had 7 years to try to get it right and to bring another source of foreign exchange to this country. And their answer today is instead of creating that other avenue, their answer is to increase fuel prices with all that goes with it. I have other guests on, and they can go into detail as we know that prices, the salaries that businesses are getting based on the minimum wage can't sustain anyone.
Meanwhile, economist Dr. Roger Hosine tells TV6 natural gas production is at its lowest since 2004, adding that if the prospects for increasing that output are not as bright in the medium term, we ought to consider other options.
In good practice intelligence suggests that you beef up your other sectors of the economy, the non-energy export sectors that could generate foreign exchange for you. And I am not seeing enough of that type of activity in the E-Tech Park. Yes, we had the Moruga agro processing plant, and that's a start in the right direction, I would like to say. We need more of those type of things that make greater use of indigenous resources, but with the potential to fetch export revenues.
And also speaking was former Planning Minister Bo Tiwari, who is predicting challenges in the next few years.
It looks like we're going to get a boost in 2023 from all of these things that are happening in Trinidad and Tobago now, including Touchstone. But it looks like we are going to have a tough period between 2023 and about 2027, 28. We don't know what is going to happen to the price of oil and gas there.
He says the government should also focus on other areas of the economy, like food production, manufacturing, and digitization. He says this country could be missing the boat as there is too much talk and too little action. Earlier this week, Energy Minister Stuart Young rubbished an article from Reuters news agency claiming that this country was unable to reverse an export fall as it struggles to bring more gas output online. Nicole M. Romney, TV6 News.
Several major upgrades are being implemented at Trinidad and Tobago's prison.
National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines says he visited the maximum security prison on Wednesday, and it shows that the CCTV camera network is up and running.
Some little refinement is taking place, and it allows the prison officers to see all around the prison with great clarity.
He adds that a brand new alarm system has been procured and installed, which would bring much needed added security.
We have instituted a brand new alarm system for the Golden Grove prison, and the MSP alarm system, the final design was handed over to the Ministry of National Security a couple days ago.
Meanwhile, Minister Hines says major construction is underway to fix the roof at the Golden Grove prison, citing an incident where several prisoners escaped through galvanized sheeting in March.
All of the materials have been procured, I'm advised, and the work is about to start in a couple days to do all of the roofs of those buildings.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Residents of Antigua and Barbuda urged to remain alert as the Atlantic hurricane season begins.
An active hurricane season has two main ingredients. One being the La Nina, cooler than normal sea surface temperatures across the Pacific Ocean, and warmer than normal sea surface temperatures across the Atlantic. At this time, we have the first ingredient in that we are seeing a La Nina, and that is likely to continue through most of the hurricane season, if not all. However, the Atlantic is not quite as warm or doesn't have the perfect ingredients for an active hurricane season. But nonetheless, the fact that there's a La Nina, that is enough to cause the projection to be for an above normal season.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister has broken his silence on the abduction of Indian businessman Chokshi.
Brown said that his authorities by no means facilitated Chokski's disappearance. The PM said that it is true that he might have acknowledged publicly that the desire would have been for Chokshi to be repatriated onto India from Dominica. However, that was on the ideas that he skipped the island. At the moment, Brown had no data or the slightest hypothesis that Chokshi could have been kidnapped. The opposition in Dominica and Antigua have each known as the Brown and Roosevelt CRT to return clear concerning the alleged kidnapping of Chokshi, who mysteriously disappeared from the Twin Island nation on March 23 and ended up in Dominica. Chokshi was charged for unlawful entry into Dominica. However, that case was dropped presumably after a 19-page report from lawmen in Antigua and Barbuda.
Barbados and other Caribbean countries could soon have a common central bank digital currency, which officials say will help to foster economic development and propel the Caribbean single market and economy.
Dr. Jean Schroeder, one of the principals behind the proposed digital currency, Carib Dollar, said a lot of work has already gone into planning and a white paper has been developed. He was speaking at a webinar entitled Demystifying Cryptocurrency and Digital Cash in the Caribbean.
So we're not just talking, we're building it. June 17th, we'll have a workshop with businesses to design the trade finance applications for this. This year, we'll create an MVP with these solutions for trade finance and launch within 2 countries, Barbados and Jamaica, within 6 months from now.
Dr. Schroeder added that the digital currency will allow for faster transactions and it's more accessible, safe, and stable.
So if you want to buy pineapples as a grocer in Barbados from Jamaica, you just use this currency. You don't have to exchange to USD and from Barbadian dollar to and then back into the Jamaican dollar. Just use this one digital money across the Caribbean. Wouldn't that be great? It would deliver seamless, fast and cheap payments, would provide liquidity, and then open a fast track towards CSME without a need to replace the national currencies, which really is a hassle if you want to go that way.
The world is witness to 4 solid days of celebrations as the UK leaves no stone unturned to observe 7 decades of the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, their longest reigning royal.
In the skies above Buckingham Palace, the deafening roar of fighter jets. On the balcony below, a woman who could comfortably claim to be among the most famous people in modern history. 96-year-old Queen Elizabeth II, grandmother, mother, and Britain's longest-serving monarch. There were notable faces missing from the moment. Prince Andrew stripped of his royal titles in the wake of sexual assault allegations. And Prince Harry after his decision to leave royal life behind him. Both joined celebrations behind the scenes. The day began with the Trooping of the Colour, a display of military pageantry marking the Queen's official birthday, and the start of several days of events and street parties commemorating her long reign. The celebrations, of course, aren't for everyone. For those who would rather abolish the monarchy, Queen Elizabeth represents hierarchy and privilege, yet she still manages to appeal to many.
Although it's a hereditary monarchy and she inherited the throne, Prince of Wales will inherit the throne, there is a democratic process. I mean, unless the public support the monarchy, it wouldn't exist. I mean, it's because it's so popular and the Queen enjoys a very strong appreciation.
In the vast crowds, a sense that the occasion has brought the monarch and the masses closer together. Some camping outside Buckingham Palace for days for a front row seat of this fleeting moment in history.
It has been everything that Great Britain can throw at you. Rain, hail. No, we didn't get snow, but that's about the only thing we didn't get.
Among the well-wishers, we meet a tiny baby, several weeks old, named Elizabeth after the Queen. The Iraqi family came to Britain as refugees last year.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.tv. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. Sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Atomic Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.